In the bright city of Neovalis, where tall glass buildings touched the sky and flying cars moved silently, life was fast and full of dreams. This city was the heart of Earth's most advanced technology, where people worked hard to build the future. At the center of it all was a man named Maxon Rowe. He was young, rich, and the powerful CEO of Chrononova Industries. Maxon was famous for his sharp mind and his perfect style. He always wore the latest clothes, and everyone knew he never missed a chance to shine. In meetings, he spoke loudly and with confidence. His words could change the direction of the whole company. People respected him, or at least they said. They did, but Maxon had little patience for anything that seemed old-fashioned or slow. He believed the future belonged only to those who looked and acted the part. One morning, inside the giant glass building of Chrononova, Maxon was leading a team meeting. The room was full of engineers, designers, and managers. Holograms floated in the air, showing graphs and designs of new technology. Among the people in the room sat a quiet woman named Eliara Venn. She was a software engineer, but unlike the others, she didn't wear the expensive, shiny clothes that matched the company's image. Her clothes were simple, a bit old-fashioned, and her hair was tied back in a plain ponytail. She didn't talk much, and she mostly kept to herself. Maxon noticed her, not with kindness, but with a small, mocking smile. As the meeting went on, Maxon asked questions, praised some workers, and criticized others. When his eyes landed on Eliara, he made a joke without much thought. "Eliara," he said loudly, "are you sure you didn't get your outfit from a history museum? Maybe next time, try something a little less vintage." The room went quiet for a moment. A few people laughed nervously, but Eliara's face stayed calm. She said nothing. Maxon laughed and moved on, but the words hung in the air. Some employees looked down, uncomfortable. Eliara just looked at the hologram, as if she was somewhere else. After the meeting, people whispered about Maxon's joke. Many thought it was rude, but no one said anything openly. In Neovalis, power was respected, even when it was cold. Neovalis, my power was respected, even when it was cold. She walked back to her small desk near the windows. Her work area was simple and not decorated like others. But on her computer, she had secret files. Files no one else had seen. For months, Eliara had been working on a special project. It was about a new kind of fabric made with tiny quantum threads. This fabric could change its color and texture based on the wearer's feelings and the environment around them. It could glow softly when happy, cool down when hot, and even clean itself. She believed this fabric could change how people wore clothes forever. But when she first showed her idea to her managers, no one took it seriously. They said it was too strange, too difficult, or not important. Still, Eliara did not give up. She kept working quietly at home and during breaks. She built small samples, tested them carefully, and wrote notes about improvements. Her family didn't understand her work. They told her to focus on normal things and not waste time on dreams. But Eliara knew that her fabric was special. She hoped that one day her work would be seen and appreciated. The city of Neovalis moved quickly. Every year, there was a big event called the Galactic Gala. It was a celebration of science, fashion, and new ideas. People from all over the solar system came to see the newest inventions and the most beautiful designs. For years, Eliara had watched the gala from her small apartment window. She dreamed of walking inside and showing her work. But no one from Chrononova had ever invited her to attend. One evening, while working late in her apartment, Eliara received an unexpected message. It was from the Earth Science Coalition, a respected group that supported independent inventors and scientists. Eliara Venn. The message read, we have reviewed your unpublished research and samples. We invite you to present your quantum thread fabric at this year's Galactic Gala. This is your chance to shine." Eliara could not believe it. She smiled quietly, feeling a mix of excitement and nervousness. She knew this was her moment, but she also knew something else. Maxon Rowe, the CEO who mocked her, would be there too. He was the star of the gala, always dressed in the finest clothes and surrounded by important people. For days, Eliara prepared. She thought about her outfit carefully. She didn't want to wear anything expensive or flashy. Instead, she planned to wear a dress made from her own fabric, showing its power in the most honest way. Her dress would change colors like a nebula, glowing softly when she felt calm and shining brighter when she felt proud. It would move with her like a living thing. Meanwhile, Maxon prepared for the gala as well. His team chose a sharp new suit with metallic threads and designed a special AI assistant to follow him and answer questions from reporters. Maxon smiled at his reflection. He was ready to impress the world once again. On the night of the gala, the huge sky dome over Mars was filled with light and music. The air was alive with excitement. Maxe arrived first, stepping out of his sleek hovercar. Cameras flashed as he walked confidently down the glowing red carpet. Reporters asked about his latest projects and his plans for the future. Then, Eliara arrived quietly, her dress glowing with soft blues and purples. She moved gracefully, not seeking attention but drawing it naturally. People turned to look. The fabric shifted colors with her emotions, sparkling like stars. Whispers spread through the crowd. "Who is she? Look at that dress. It's unlike anything I've ever seen. Is that quantum thread fabric?" Maxon noticed the crowd turning. His smile faded as he saw Eliara walk into the hall. For a moment, the powerful CEO was silent. Eliara stood in the middle of the gala, calm and confident. The future was finally watching her, and she was ready. The crowd at the Galactic Gala buzzed with surprise and curiosity. Cameras zoomed in on Eliara's glowing dress, and whispers floated through the grand hall. She moved with quiet confidence, but inside, her heart was racing. This was the moment she had dreamed of for years. Despite the glittering lights and the sea of important faces, Eliara stayed calm. Her dress shifted softly from deep blue to gentle purple, colors that matched her thoughtful mood. People began to gather around her, asking questions and admiring the fabric. One of the guests was Ambassador Lyra Kin, a well-known supporter of independent science and innovation. She smiled warmly as she approached Eliara. "Your dress is incredible. Is this your own design?" Eliara nodded. "Yes, Ambassador. It's made from quantum thread fabric. It can change color and texture based on feelings and the environment. It even cleans itself and adjusts to temperature." Lyra's eyes widened in amazement. This could change the fashion world and much more. "How did you come up with this?" Eliara took a deep breath and told her story. "I started working on this fabric quietly, outside of my main job. I wanted to make something that connects technology and emotion, something alive in its own way. But at my company, Chrononova, my idea was ignored." At the mention of Chrononova, a few nearby people looked surprised. Maxon Rowe, the CEO, was watching from a distance. He saw Eliara speaking confidently, and a flicker of recognition flashed across his face. He frowned, but quickly masked it with a polite smile. Meanwhile, Eliara's words spread through the gala. Reporters and inventors whispered about the unfashionable employee who created the most talked-about outfit of the night. Some people admired her bravery. Others were curious about how she managed to keep her project a secret. Backstage, Maxon met with his advisors. His usually calm voice had an edge. "How did she get invited? She's not even on our official list. And her design is stealing my spotlight." One advisor replied carefully, The Earth Science Coalition invited her after they saw her research. It was independent from Chrononova. This is not just fashion, her technology could be valuable in many industries. Maxon nodded slowly. We need to watch her closely. This could become a problem. But for Eliara, the gala was not about competition or revenge. It was about finally being seen for who she was and what she could do. She smiled gently as she answered more questions, explaining the science behind her fabric. Later, Eliara found a quiet corner to catch her breath. A young engineer from another company approached her nervously. Eliara, right? Your fabric is amazing. I've been trying to design something like this for years, but you succeeded. She smiled and encouraged him. Keep working. Sometimes success comes to those who don't give up. Her phone buzzed with messages. Friends and family congratulated her, though many still didn't understand her work fully. But one message stood out. It was from her mother. Proud of you, it read simply. Eliara smiled, feeling warmth spread inside her. Meanwhile, Maxon's thoughts raced. He remembered the meeting months ago when he had mocked her clothes. At the time, he had seen her only as someone who didn't fit the image he wanted for his company. Now she was the center of attention. That night, Maxon stayed late in his office, staring at the newsfeed. Articles praised Eliara's innovation. Comments poured in from social media, calling her a hidden genius and the future of fashion and technology. Maxon's assistant entered quietly. Sir, the board is concerned. Investors want to know why Chrononova missed this opportunity. Maxon sighed. Draft a response. Say we're looking into it. But keep it calm. No panic. Despite his calm words, Maxon felt the pressure. He realized that he had underestimated Eliara and that the company's future could depend on how they handled her success. Back at the gala, Eliara listened to a speech from the Earth Science Coalition's leader. He praised the importance of supporting unknown talents and said, "Innovation comes from every corner of our world. Sometimes the quietest voices have the strongest ideas." Eliara thought of her own journey, how she had worked alone, ignored, and unseen. But tonight, she was no longer invisible. The gala continued late into the night, filled with laughter, music, and new connections. Eliara made many friends among inventors and scientists. People wanted to work with her, learn from her, and help bring her fabric to the world. As the event ended, Eliara looked out the window of the sky dome at the red planet below. She felt hope and determination. This was only the beginning. She knew challenges lay ahead, but for the first time, she believed that the future was hers to shape. The days after the Galactic Gala were busy and full of excitement for Eliara Venn. Her life had changed quickly, almost like a dream. Invitations arrived from other companies and organizations who wanted to learn more about her quantum thread. Fabric, interviews, meetings, and calls filled her schedule, but Eliara stayed focused. She knew that success was only the beginning. There was still much work to do. Her invention was powerful, but it needed careful development before it could become useful for many people. In the offices of Chrononova Industries, things were very different. Maxon Rowe was not happy. His carefully planned evening at the gala had been overshadowed by Eliara's unexpected appearance. He found it hard to admit it, but Eliara's invention was exciting. If handled well, it could bring great value, but Maxon's pride was bruised. He had once laughed at Eliara's simple clothes and quiet nature. Now the whole industry was talking about her. Investors wanted answers, and his board of directors was restless. In a meeting with his top managers, Maxon said, "We need to understand how Eliara did this without our support. She was right under our noses, and we missed it. I want to meet with her." The managers exchanged surprised looks. It was unusual for the CEO to invite a lower-level employee for a private talk. Eliara received the invitation the next day. She was nervous but also curious. She agreed to meet Maxon at Chrononova's headquarters. When she arrived, Maxon was waiting in a large glass-walled office. The room was filled with bright light and modern furniture. Maxon stood up and greeted her politely. "Eliara, thank you for coming. I want to say that your work at the gala was impressive. You have talent, and I want to learn more." Eliara nodded. "Thank you, Mr. Rowe. I'm glad the fabric was noticed. I believe it can help many people." Maxon studied her quietly for a moment. "I have to admit, I judged you wrongly before. Your appearance made me think you were not important, but your work says otherwise." Eliara smiled gently. "Sometimes the way someone looks is not the whole story." Maxon laughed softly. "True. I want Chrononova to support your project fully. We have resources that can help develop the fabric faster and on a larger scale." Eliara thought about it carefully. She knew working with Chrononova would bring benefits, but it could also mean losing control over her invention. "I appreciate the offer," she said, "but I want to keep some independence. My work is personal, and I want to make sure it stays true to its purpose." Maxon nodded thoughtfully. "I respect that. Let's find a way to work together that honors your vision." They agreed to start with a small team to help Eliara improve the fabric and test new designs. Chrononova promised to provide labs, materials, and engineers to assist her. Meanwhile, Eliara's own excitement grew. She was about to bring her dreams to life on a much bigger stage. Back at her small apartment, Eliara began designing her new dress for the upcoming fashion show at the next gala event. This time, she wanted it to be even more impressive. She worked day and night, programming the quantum threads to react not only to emotions, but also to music and light. The dress would flow like water, change colors like a sunset, and glow like the stars. Her friends helped by sewing and testing small pieces. Eliara's confidence grew with each success, but not everyone was happy about her progress. At Chrononova, some managers whispered that Eliara's project was a distraction. They worried she would steal attention from other important work. One senior manager said, "We should focus on proven technology, not dreams." Maxon disagreed firmly. "Eliara's work is the future. We must support innovation, even if it seems risky." The company began to shift slowly. Employees who had ignored Eliara started to show interest. Her quiet strength inspired others to believe in their own ideas. The news about the quantum thread fabric spread beyond Neovalis. Other planets and space stations showed curiosity. Some requested samples to study. Eliara was invited to speak at universities and science fairs. She enjoyed sharing her knowledge and encouraging young inventors. One day, as she returned from a presentation, Eliara received a message from an old friend. "Maxon wants to meet again. He says there's a new challenge and wants your help." Eliara wondered what this challenge could be. She had learned to trust her instincts but remained cautious. The city around her hummed with energy. Neovalis was a place where dreams and reality met, where the future was built step by step. For Eliara, the journey had only just begun. The gala was behind her, but the road ahead was full of surprises. She took a deep breath, ready to face whatever came next. The day of the next big gala had arrived. This event was even more important than the last. It was called the Interplanetary Innovation Gala, and it gathered inventors, scientists, and leaders from across the solar system. Eliara Venn felt both nervous and excited. She had worked hard for months, perfecting her quantum thread fabric. Tonight, she planned to show the world a new creation, a dress that could react to music, light, and even the mood of the crowd. Back at Chrononova Industries, Maxon Rowe was preparing as well. This gala was his chance to prove that his company was still the leader in technology and fashion. He had chosen a new suit with smart fibers that changed color to match his speeches. His AI assistant was ready to guide him through the event, answering questions and providing data instantly. Maxon had learned to respect Eliara's talent, but his pride still made him watch her success with mixed feelings. He wanted to support her, but he also wanted to stay the top star. The gala took place inside a massive, glowing dome orbiting above Mars. The view of the red planet below added to the magic. People from many different worlds filled the hall, dressed in dazzling clothes and shining with excitement. When Eliara arrived, all eyes turned to her. Her dress flowed like liquid silver, changing colors with the soft sounds of music. It sparkled and shimmered as she walked, capturing the light like a living star. The crowd was silent at first, then burst into applause. Reporters rushed forward, eager to ask questions and take pictures. Eliara answered calmly, explaining how her fabric worked and how it could change the future of clothing, health, and even space travel. Maxen watched from the side, impressed despite himself. He saw how people admired Eliara, how her dress seemed to connect with everyone in the room. During the event, Eliara was invited to a special presentation stage. The music shifted to a soft rhythm, and the lights danced in time with her dress. The fabric glowed gently, reacting to the applause and energy of the crowd. For a moment, it felt like the whole universe was watching. Eliara smiled quietly, proud but humble. This was the power of human creativity, to take small dreams, turn them into something real and beautiful. After the presentation, many companies asked to work with Eliara. She was careful but open. She wanted to keep the spirit of her invention alive and free, not locked behind walls of profit. Maxen approached her later, his voice sincere. Eliara, your work is amazing. I want Chrononova to help bring your fabric to every corner of the solar system. Eliara nodded. Thank you, Maxen. I believe this fabric can do more than just look beautiful. It can help people in ways we are only beginning to imagine. That night, the gala ended with a grand celebration. Music played, and people danced under the stars. Of Mars, Eliara felt a new sense of hope and belonging. She had moved from being the unfashionable employee to a shining star of innovation. But even as she celebrated, Eliara knew the real work was just beginning. There were challenges ahead, technical problems to solve, business deals to navigate, and new ideas to explore. Maxen returned to his office alone, thinking deeply. He knew that supporting Eliara was the right choice. But he also felt a quiet fear that the future was changing, and he had to change with it or be left behind. Meanwhile, Eliara planned her next steps carefully. She wanted to build a team of like-minded people, those who believed in creativity, kindness, and science. Working together, the galaxy was full of possibilities, and Eliara was ready to explore them all. The days following the Interplanetary Innovation Gala were filled with a whirlwind of activity for Eliara Venn. Her life, once quiet and unnoticed, had now become a center of attention. News channels across the solar system broadcasted stories about her quantum thread fabric, praising its beauty and potential. Social media buzzed with admiration, calling her the invisible genius who had surprised everyone. Despite the praise, Eliara remained humble. She knew that the real work was still ahead. The fabric was only the beginning of a larger dream, to make technology that helped people in everyday life, to bring comfort, beauty, and function together. In her new workspace at Chrononova's Advanced Labs, Eliara was surrounded by top engineers and scientists. She led the team with calm confidence, encouraging everyone to think creatively and kindly. Her ideas flowed freely, and her leadership inspired those around her. Maxen Rowe, the CEO, watched her progress closely. The board of directors had started to ask difficult questions. Investors were impressed by Eliara's work, but wanted to know why Chrononova had not supported her earlier. The company's reputation depended on how they handled this moment. Maxen called a meeting with his senior staff. We must show the world that Chrononova embraces innovation, no matter where it comes from, he said. Eliara is our future. Let's make sure she has everything she needs. One of the managers replied, "Some in the company still doubt her. They see her as an outsider, someone who doesn't fit our image." Maxon shook his head. "Those are old ways of thinking. We must change, or we will be left behind." Meanwhile, Eliara received invitations to speak at conferences and universities across the solar system. She shared her story and her vision for technology that connects people, not divides them. Young inventors listened eagerly, inspired by her journey. One day, Eliara received a surprising visit. Ambassador Lyra Kin arrived at Chrononova's lab, smiling warmly. "Eliara, your work has reached even the farthest colonies. The Galactic Council wants to explore ways to use your fabric in space travel." Eliara was amazed. "Space travel? How could my fabric help?" Lyra explained, "The quantum threads can adjust to extreme temperatures and environments. They could protect astronauts and help them adapt to new worlds." The possibilities were exciting. Eliara realized that her invention was more than fashion. It was a bridge to the future. At the same time, Maxon faced growing pressure. The media had uncovered old reports showing that Eliara's proposals were ignored for months. Headlines questioned Chrononova's leadership. Investors demanded accountability. Maxon knew he had to act quickly. He publicly praised Eliara's work and promised to support her fully. He admitted past mistakes and vowed to create a culture where all ideas were valued. Eliara appreciated his honesty, but focused on her mission. "I want to build a team that believes in kindness, creativity, and science. We can create technology that respects people and the planet." Her team grew, attracting talented people who shared her vision. Together, they began new projects, testing fabrics for medical use, sports, and even environmental protection. The world watched as Eliara's work changed from a simple idea to a movement of hope and progress. Maxon visited her lab often now, learning from her and supporting her. Their relationship had changed from one of mockery to respect. One evening, as they reviewed new fabric samples, Maxon said quietly, "You have taught me a lot, Eliara. Not just about science, but about seeing people for who they are." Eliara smiled. "We all have something to learn. And sometimes, the greatest discoveries come from unexpected places." As the sun set over Neo Valis, Eliara looked out at the city lights. The future was bright, full of endless possibilities. She knew challenges would come, but with courage and kindness, humanity could rise to meet them. And in that moment, she felt the true power of her invention, the power to bring people together and change the world. Neo Valis had changed in the months since. Eliara's dress lit up the galactic gala. The city hummed with new energy. People spoke more about ideas and kindness, and less about looks and status. Eliara's invention had started a quiet revolution in the world of technology and fashion. But change was never easy. At Chrononova Industries, the air was tense. The company's board was divided. Some wanted to fully support Eliara and invest heavily in her quantum thread fabric, while others worried about the risks and the damage to their image from past mistakes. Maxon Rowe, the CEO, stood at the center of this storm. He had come a long way from the man who once mocked Eliara's clothes. Now he understood that true leadership meant listening, learning, and accepting new ideas. One morning, Maxon called a special meeting with the board and his senior team. "We face a choice," he said firmly. "We can either hold on to old ways and lose our place in the future, or we can embrace change and lead the next generation." The room was quiet. Finally, one senior manager spoke up. "Maxon, investing in Eliara's technology is smart, but we also need to repair the company's image. Our investors want confidence." Maxon nodded. "Then we will do both. We will support Eliara fully, and we will show the world that Chrononova is a company that values all its people." Meanwhile, Eliara and her team worked tirelessly. They tested new fabrics that could protect workers from extreme heat and cold, help athletes improve their performance, and even assist doctors by monitoring patients' health. The media followed every new success. Headlines praised Elira's vision and the positive changes she was bringing. She became a symbol of hope and innovation, inspiring young people everywhere. But not everyone was happy. Some former executives at Chrononova quietly criticized her, saying she was too idealistic or that her ideas were not practical. They spread rumors to slow her progress. Elira heard about these whispers but did not let them stop her. She focused on her work and on building a team that believed in kindness and creativity. One day, a major challenge arrived. A competitor company announced a new smart fabric that claimed to be stronger and faster to produce. Investors began to worry. Could Elira's fabric keep up? Maxon met with Elira in her lab. "We have to respond quickly. I want to support you in creating a stronger, more versatile fabric." Elira agreed. "We can do this, but it will take teamwork and time." Her team worked day and night, experimenting with new materials and weaving techniques. They combined quantum threads with other advanced fibers, creating fabrics that were lighter, more durable, and still responsive to emotions and environment. After weeks of effort, they had a breakthrough. The new fabric was ready for testing. It glowed softly, changed colors, and was strong enough to resist harsh conditions in space. Elira and Maxon presented their new design at a press conference. The crowd was impressed. Investors smiled again, and the company's reputation grew stronger. At the same time, Elira spoke at a conference for young inventors. She shared her story honestly, telling them about her struggles and successes. "Don't let anyone tell you who you are," she said. "Believe in your ideas, be kind to yourself and others, and keep working. The future is yours to create." Her words inspired many. Invitations came from schools, companies, and governments. She traveled to teach and learn, always staying true to her values. Maxon watched her with pride and respect. Their partnership had become a symbol of what could happen when people looked beyond first impressions and embraced true talent. One evening, after a long day of work, Maxon and Elira stood together on the rooftop of Chrononova's building. They looked out at the city lights, shining like stars. Maxon said quietly, "Elira, you have changed more than just technology. You have changed how we see each other." Elira smiled. "We all have the power to change. It starts with respect and belief." As the night sky stretched above them, full of possibilities, Elira felt ready for whatever the future would bring. She knew challenges would come, but with courage, kindness, and the strength of human creativity, there was no limit to what they could achieve. And so, at this turning point, a new chapter began, one where humanity's best qualities led the way to a brighter tomorrow. Months passed since Elira Ven's dress first lit up the galactic gala. Her quantum thread fabric had become more than just a fashion statement. It was now a symbol of hope, innovation, and human spirit. Neovalis buzzed with excitement as new companies adopted her technology. From protective suits for space travelers to comfortable clothes that helped people in their daily lives, Elira's invention was everywhere. But the biggest change was in how people saw each other. The old ideas about appearances, status, and fashion began to fade. Instead, kindness, creativity, and talent became the new currency. At Chrononova Industries, the shift was even clearer. The company that once ignored Elira's ideas now depended on her vision. Investors returned, eager to be part of her projects. The board voted to make Elira the head of a new research division, one that focused on combining technology with human values. Maxon Rowe watched all of this quietly. He had changed too. The proud CEO who once mocked a simple employee had learned to respect true talent and humility. One afternoon, Maxon stood in his office, looking out over the city. He saw the bright lights and heard the hum of progress. But he also felt a quiet loneliness. He wondered what his future held now that Eliara had become the shining star. Meanwhile, Eliara was busy. Her new research division worked on exciting projects, from smart fabrics that could help heal wounds to materials that changed shape for comfort and safety. She surrounded herself with young inventors and thinkers who believed in a better future. Together, they dreamed big and worked hard. One day, Maxon invited Eliara to a company event, not as a guest, but as a partner. He wanted to celebrate her success and the company's new direction. At the event, Maxon approached Eliara and smiled. "You've done incredible work, Eliara. Chrononova wouldn't be the same without you." Eliara smiled back. "Thank you, Maxon. It took time, but we've come a long way." As the evening went on, Maxon quietly admitted, "I was wrong to judge you before. I see now that true strength comes from kindness, creativity, and courage, not just appearances." Eliara nodded. "We all have something to learn. And sometimes, the greatest changes come from unexpected places." The event ended with applause and laughter. For the first time, the company felt united and hopeful. Outside, the city lights sparkled under the stars. Eliara looked up and thought about how far she had come. From the unfashionable employee to a leader of innovation, her journey had inspired many. Maxon watched from a distance, proud and changed. The world was moving forward, and he was ready to move with it. The story of Eliara Venn and Maxon Rowe became a lesson across Neovalis and beyond, a reminder that every person has value, and that kindness and creativity can change the world. As new stars shone in the sky, humanity's future looked brighter than ever.